We're back with another episode of Toon Talk TV. Guys, this is, by the time this posts, it's either the last episode of 2022 and the first episode of 2023.
Yeah, so the time it posts, it'll be 2023.
Isn't that crazy? We're basically talking to ourselves in the future.
Wow. That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Crazy. Do you have a message for yourself in the future?
Well, that's what I wanted to get into with you. I wanted to ask your guys' opinion on something that I've really been stewing about for 2023, Nick. But before I do that, again, Toon Talk TV, brought to you by We Are the Television. This is your first time here, like, subscribe. Go check out our Patreon page. We've got some really cool shit on there. Get a mug, see some behind-the-scenes stuff. You'll love it. Trust me. But into what the question I had for you guys. Is it too late? Am I too late in the game to kind of change my persona? Like, you know, if I, in 2023, Nick just became like a necklace-wearing, rings, suits guy.
I think you
Is
should
that too much?
No,
I think
you should do it. Change it.
Because I hate the current version. Of
Yeah,
Blue,
this
so
one
let's
sucks.
Just change
Let's
this
upgrade.
dude.
Let's tinker with that guy.
Let's fuck this all up. Start fresh. Dude.
We
I
could
see
do
all
better.
These, yes. Frankenstein me. Just put me together the way you want. I was talking to Kate about this, and I see like these big old Pharrell hats, basically like a cowboy hat but cooler. And I'm like, I could pull that off.
Yeah, dude.
She's
Get
like,
a
you
whole
should
new
try that
style.
Yeah, she's just like, no, you can't. I'm like, come on, I could do it.
No one wears those. Only
That's
Pharrell
what she
wears
says. She's like, it's only in movies that you see that, or commercials. Never once in real life have you ever seen someone with a hat like that.
I'd be surprised if you could actually find one to buy online. Like, I feel like you're going to actually have to get that custom made or go to some
No
costume
way.
shop. Or seriously, that you're talking about like that long, like
It's like a long brim, and it's, you know, it's like a flat brim cowboy hat, basically, is what it is.
I thought it went like a little higher, like at Abe Lincoln's a little bit.
Like, yeah, all sorts of types and shit like
Okay.
that. But anyways, guys, you know, should I change my persona for 2023 and test it out? Like, if I just showed up looking like Johnny Depp, would you consider me like Nick's losing his mind, like he needs help, or would you welcome new Nick with open arms?
Oh no, I'd welcome it.
Both. I'd be like, what the
Yes,
fuck is wrong with
yeah.
you? But I would be like, this is great.
What's
Glad you're
new
doing
Nick?
this.
The second. So that was my message for future me.
Wear
Try
a
to
hat.
wear a hat. Try to get a new persona.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to ask you guys is I had this thought a couple pods ago that Kate kind of brought up. As creators, do you prefer when people reference your work as a cartoon, the word cartoon, or the word animation? Thoughts?
I like cartoon. I think cartoon is a little more fun. It's the same thing. They're not really. I feel like when you say cartoon, it's more of like a fun,
Yeah.
childish thing. But when you say animation, it's like you're serious and like that's the. I don't know.
Correct term, I guess.
Yeah,
You know
correct
what you're
term,
talking-
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm talking to someone who likes like who's an artist or like wants to know more about the medium or like they might say animation, but if it's just someone who's not in this realm and is just watching it, like that was a cool cartoon. Like I think I can appreciate both for what it is, because really what we're trying to make is a piece of media for everyone.
Yeah.
So we appreciate someone who likes art, but also if you're not a fan of cartoons, like that's okay too. We're still trying to. It's still a piece of media for you as well.
I've always been weary of. First, I don't know. There's just a little mechanism in me that I feel like when I reference like Justin Roiland or anything like that, is it belittling what they're making if I call it a cartoon versus an animation? I know the difference. Like you don't call an anime a cartoon. You call it an anime, right?
You don't call
Well,
it
let's
stop
be honest
motion
here.
a cartoon. You call that an animation.
Yeah.
let's be honest here. The reason I'm into this shit is because I've been into this shit since a little. I've been a little kid. Like we like this shit because it's fun. It's like so like call it a cartoon. I don't care because I've been into this forever. Like that's why it's cool.
I think he would agree. Like Justin Roiland. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the same thing, but it's just a more fun way to say it. It's cartoon.
It's not cartoon making 101 in college. It's animation 101.
Right.
But you're really fucking around and making some cartoons.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a little thought that I had. Wanted to get off my chest. But anyways, here at Toon Talk, we discuss our favorite cartoons. And now, guys, it's the end of the year. This is the last one or the first one that we're starting in 2023 with, whichever you want to look at it. Al, what cartoon are you watching?
It's so close to the end of the year, and I still think that this is going to win so many awards for best animation of 2022. And this is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And it was, honestly, did you guys see it?
Yes.
No.
Brett, do you see it? No. Oh, Brett.
Well, be prepared to be spoiled if you've never learned the story of Pinocchio.
I don't even have to spoil it.
I've seen Pinocchio
it's
so many times. And
so this was cool.
Right.
It's not exactly like the old Pinocchio story. Like he makes it his own, which is cool. And I think it's a little darker. I think it's more of a it's more of one of his films. It feels like one of his films, even though it's Pinocchio. So the whole idea it brings in more of a death theme and like a life theme rather than just like I know in the original it's like he wants to be a real boy and stuff, but there's a key part in this Pinocchio where he can't die. Pinocchio can't die. He can die, but he essentially goes off to limbo and just has to wait a little time before they send him back. And every time that happens, he has to wait a little longer, which I think is actually a really cool concept. They had a lot of really good voice actors in this one.
Was Tom Kenny in it?
Yes.
You know what's funny? I saw someone post. I guess he was in the Pinocchio that they released the year before on Disney or something.
The live action one?
The live action
I heard that
one.
was I have never seen that. I heard that was garbage.
I've seen that one. And someone, I think as a joke, they posted in a meme or something like, for Tom Kenny is sentenced to do one Pinocchio per year for the rest of his life.
That's pretty good.
That's funny. Nick, what did you think about it? You like it?
So versus the old the cartoon version and the Disney one, this one is far superior. It's far better than both of those. I think because you're right, Guillermo brought his own story. There are still sprinkles of regular Pinocchio, wooden boy, nose grows when he lies, gets eaten by the monster, like all that shit's still in there. But like you said, there are breadcrumbs of his own story in there, which make it really good. But I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of boring towards the beginning.
Okay,
like you get a lot of backstory of the boy before you even meet Pinocchio.
I agree,
which is cool.
But how cool was it to look at?
Yeah,
I feel the entire thing. It was just amazing. Like every little bit of art in that was on a next level, in my opinion.
It was very, very good. The voice acting paired up very well. And yeah, it was just like those little details down to like the coffin that he's carried in when he goes into the afterlife has so much detail on it that it's nuts.
Yeah. So they had a massive crew. I think they said it took them like 1,000 days to make this altogether. They were so did you guys see Nightmare Alley?
Yeah.
Okay,
no.
That's another one of
that one was great.
It was great. That was another one of his films. Cate Blanchett was in that, who is also in Pinocchio, and she wanted a part in this film. And I guess they're like we Guillermo said that we've casted everyone for it. The only spot left we have is the monkey, and she's like, I'll take it. And she did a great job. I think there's only like pretty much noises and a few parts, but it fucking great job. So there's also on Netflix. There's like a half hour. What is it called? Handcrafted. What is it called? Hand carved cinema that just talks about the making of it. So I mean, I don't want to go into. Yeah, just check it out. It's pretty cool. But a question for you guys: do you guys think? I think it's pretty ballsy to take a classic like that and remake it into your own story. First of all, would you do that? And what would you change to make it your own?
Are we talking Pinocchio itself or anything?
Not Pinocchio. I know me and Brett have talked about this with like we've brought up just like how you can modernize Looney Tunes. There's plenty of ways to like modernize a Looney Tunes.
Can I take this one first?
Yeah. So just go for it.
So to be honest with you, I think the only reason why, the only two ways in which I would do that are, one, I would have to not like the story, the original one, and have something to have to say to add to the first version, in which I was like, oh, this had so much potential, but something really bothered me about this. Let me change it, and I'm going to shine a new light to someone and give them that new piece of something that needed to be said.
Yeah.
That's one take. And then the second reason would be if they fucked up I guess it's the same reason. If they fucked up somewhere, or I really enjoyed it, like I really liked the thing, and I wanted to show it in a different medium, like say it was a live action something, and I thought like, wow, this could be done really well animated, and I can put my style on it, blah blah blah, or vice versa. Like if it's an animation and they really
motion,
they really missed the mark here, and it could have. I think something would be really visually well done if we did it this way. So I feel like it'd have to be something that you add to it. But with that being said, the idea of taking someone else's piece and adding something to it feels like shitty to me. It's like
so. It's interesting you said those two things, because I think he actually does both in it. Like the first of all, like the obvious one, he turned it into a stop motion with hand carved puppets, which is, I mean, only someone with a massive cast of people throwing money at you can basically you could put something together like that. Secondly, I kind of forgot about this until I watched this one, but there's a whole middle part to that first Pinocchio that kind of like alludes to a pedophilia ring. Do you guys remember that?
Are you talking about like the
Pleasure Island? Yeah. So so like there's this guy in the middle of it that's like, we want to find these young kids and capture them and bring them to Pleasure Island, and then he whispers in the fox's ear and says says they're not going to come back men. I mean, they're not going to come back children. They're going to come back men. And you're like, what the fuck? And then it goes on and they turn into donkeys.
Yeah.
He pulls that whole part out. He pulls that whole part out and kind of turns it into like the fascist area, like the fascist regime and like the whole war. The regime going on and he brings Pinocchio to war for a period of time, which I think he told it better. I feel like that was like a better way of
well, okay. Let me also touch on this too. That made me think of something. People do this a lot where currently these days, where they'll take an old villain and say, oh, that was bad, we can't talk about this, like let's take that out and make it a new thing. Like on Instagram right now, someone posted a Nazi sign on some guy.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hate this character. Like, it's supposed to be a villain. You're not supposed to like the guy. So, but Instagram says, no. We're not going to show any Nazi symbols like that. Now, for the sake of art, like, I get it. You don't want, like, that's bad. But also, what if in the medium, if you're supposed to hate this person, what better way to do it? By bringing everyone together and taking a symbol that everyone fucking hates and just show it in an easy symbol. In the same way, Disney, where if they allude to some like pedophile ring, they're like, oh, no, we can't touch that. Don't show any pedophiles. But what if you're supposed to hate that character? Like, who the fuck cares? Like, it's a villain. Like, why are we whitewashing this shit? Just fucking, like, everyone hates these people. Well, that's the villain. It's a good villain.
That's true.
So I haven't seen this, but I'm just saying, like, there's some aspects where it just feels forced, where it's like, oh, no, we can't show that, which I'm against. Like,
yeah, I don't think in this new Pinocchio it felt forced. I felt like he just took, if there was any part that he wanted to take out and make his own, it was that part, because all the other steps in Pinocchio, without missing a beat. And then there's that middle part that you said, that instead of this ring of capturing little boys, which is in the cartoon and which is in the live action, he was like, how can I make this my own? Well, the show's already set in like 1913 Italy. That was like the rise of fascism. Let's just make the instead of a fox, it's a general that's like trying to bring these boys to a camp where they can train to be soldiers. Basically.
Well, okay, so that's a good edit then, because he actually like throws it within the context of what's
Same
going on.
Same context. A guy still taking boys, making them men, but the men version is soldiers to go to war.
Not only that, I feel like even just the opening, like Geppetto's character backstory, like you're a little confused. Like, this guy is like making toys, doesn't have any kids. Like,
he has one kid, dude.
But that's the thing. Oh, no, I'm not talking about this version. I'm talking about the original.
Yeah.
So they're like, what is his backstory? Like, is he just like a kind of creepy guy that wants to make kids and like have a kid of his own? But in this one, he has a kid. And he loses his kid, and there's a reason. Yeah, and that's another thing. He gets drunk and makes Pinocchio, and Pinocchio looks like this carved mess, which is cool. So
that's another reason why you would want to change a story, is modernize it. Like, I feel like Batman can do that consistently, because the old, like, everyone likes Batman, but in 10 years from now, there's going to be new technology, and this guy's based on cool technology and gadgets. Like, after 20 years, if all those gadgets exist, it's like, well, why is he Batman anymore? He's
right.
So you could reinvent. You could make it modern time too. Like, because who the fuck is who makes puppets like now? Like, that's not.
We're gonna make some puppets.
Yeah.
That would be cool to make puppets. I think it would be awesome to make puppets.
But that version of a puppeteer, like some guy who makes puppets, he doesn't own a shop and is whittling like wood. Like, it's a different thing now.
That dude's either A, a serial killer, or B, a person you don't want to have over for dinner.
That's
for sure.
I don't know if there's anything that, I mean, I'm not very good at creating out of the box ideas like that. Maybe I would take something like an old Nickelodeon, like Ren and Stimpy would be really cool if you brought that into a live action, or not a live action.
Don't you touch that, dude. Don't touch Ren and Stimpy.
I would want to see Ren and Stimpy in like a stop motion aspect.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Of what you just said, Brett. Like,
don't touch it.
There's a part to it that, like, you don't even want to touch it, because I think there's more of a chance for failure than there is of success.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
especially with something like, if you take like an iconic thing, like, I guess Pinocchio is an iconic thing, but it was Disney who remade it in the first place. So but then. What is it? Guillermo del Toro. He like makes iconic shit too. So, but I mean, if it was Joe Schmo making the new Pinocchio, it's like, well, what the fuck is this guy going to add to it? Like, why do we need to see that version?
But no, I mean, it's a good point. You have to be very careful when you touch iconic stuff like that. Live action version, when Will Smith was like, we're going to redo Karate Kid, we got to fucking do it right, because this is a very heartfelt movie, and the one that he made wasn't bad. Do I still prefer the original? Of course, but it gets a rewatch every once in a while. Like it still follows the same beats. They have a new way of modernizing how he, instead of painting the fence, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I think you're right that you have to pick the right property, and then you have to be sure to make enough changes where you make it yours, but not enough where you're just basically using the name and changing everything else.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Brett, what cartoons are you watching?
So last week I did a Michael Cusack cartoon. Because you weren't here, Nick, I decided to bring him back so we could chat about it. I picked Damo and Darren. It was one of his first YouTube cartoons that turned into a 5-episode series on YouTube. Okay. And in 3 days from when this is going to be released, Koala Man comes out, and we'll see those two characters again in the new Michael Cusack series, Koala Man. So this is a cool... I've talked about in the past how I like origins of where cartoons came from. Well, Michael Cusack made these 5 episodes with like 6 years ago, and it was just a mini YouTube series, and they're hilarious. Did you guys get a chance to check them out?
Those are funny as hell. I had seen the first one, but I didn't realize he had 4 more of them, and they were. I think just those characters are freaking hilarious.
Siggy butt brain. You got a Siggy butt brain.
It's just like a toxic friendship, like relationship in all of them, which is hilarious. Like you got that. The second one I thought was so fucking funny, where they're sitting at the skate park and the kids are like they're just getting in fights with other skateboarder kids, and like, what the fuck are you doing here anyway? You're old.
Like,
guys, get out of here. And he's like,
don't come our area. Don't come our area. It's right here. It's the lion.
and then he gets on the skateboard, breaks his fucking leg. You see his bone popping out, and he goes, Damo, why'd you make me do that?
No, he was cheering him on. He was cheering him on.
Yeah, he goes,
you distracted me.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
So there's 2 things I like about. Well, I'd say one is a like and one is a dislike.
Okay.
The one like I enjoy is, even though that those are just small shorts, there's so much detail in the background, in the characters themselves, just from an illustration and animation standpoint, vocals stripped away. There's just so much detail, and I love when artists and creators can throw that much content at you. You know, even without sound, I can still follow the story based on, you know, what I'm seeing on screen. The other thing that it's going to be a hot take, but I feel like this goes towards the characters. These characters need to be over the top. They're like junkies, fucking from Australia, nutso, off the walls. But I feel like there's some cases, Crystal Fantasy, where I like my character to be a little dialed back and not always just like screaming and shouting the whole time. Does that make sense?
I hear ya. I think for these characters, it just would never work. Yeah. It's like it's a junkie. They're supposed to be out of left field. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And everyone can relate with that. The junkie on the side of the street in a big city that no one wants to go near because they're a wild card. They don't know what the hell they're gonna fucking do.
I think, which is maybe why they turned into just side characters in Koala Man. Like, maybe it's just too much for, like, me personally. Like, I want my shit turned up to 10 anyway because I like punk rock, and I'd rather just have people like fucking screaming. Like, I think it's funny. Yeah. Like, turn the dial up to 11. But I understand, like, you can't watch that for like 30-minute periods, you know, like in a sitcom. So maybe that's why he's like, I love these these characters are great, but dude, we can't do this for 30 minutes. Like, let's put them as side characters in Koala Man, you know?
It kind of makes it a perfect short, too. Those are like 2-minute, 3-minute episodes.
Yeah.
I just run with that. Like, know your medium. If it's just a 2-minute thing, like, hit them hard for 2 minutes and be done. And I think all those episodes did that.
They definitely sledgehammers to the face, each one, and each one's great. But it's very weird that I say that because for this animation, I feel that way. But for something like It's Always Sunny, which is basically real people yelling at each other for 28 minutes, I can get on board, which is very weird. Like, I don't know why that is.
That's interesting.
But
I don't know. I could challenge. I feel like I want to challenge that, though. I feel like if there was a version of this, like a 30-minute episode, if you could find enough, I think you would like it. I think so. I don't know.
Because I think there would obviously be other characters that would break up that chaos that they bring.
Yeah.
Which is the importance of having side characters. Which the episode where they're smoking on the train or on the side of the tracks and the guy comes out and he's like,
"We don't speak ching chong."
Yeah, we do. I'm speaking English. I'm speaking the same as you. So you do understand me. No, we speak Australian, mate. We don't speak ching chong bing bong.
The other thing I like about him so much, you touched on, you said it perfectly. Like his foreground characters are ugly as hell, and the backgrounds are detailed as shit. Like it's almost like you've seen those places before. But the other thing that I like is he's a freaking comedian with as far as dialogue, and every single one of those episodes, you don't need much animation. It's just a conversation between two people every single time, and it's still hilarious.
Siggy Buttbrain too. The ending, the animation was hilarious when he was like walking away, and like you saw his body moving, but like he was barely moving away, and the conversation happening in that point was like, "Get out of here! I don't know you. Get out of here!
Call the cops.
You'll be here. You're coming over at 7, right? Yeah, I'll be there." It's like you really. The dialogue is so funny that you don't even really care about how shitty the animation is, but also the shitty animation, there's something to it that is also funny too. You know, it's like we've talked about that before too, though.
I like how he had a more detailed approach on this than what we've seen in like YOLO and stuff. Though I feel like you could tell he's putting more time into the tiny scenes because it's a short. Which
now. With Koala Man, the animation's going to be a little different. Is that right, Brett? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to be more.
Yeah, it's going to. I think like it might as well have been produced by like Fox or something, because you got Justin Roiland. I think the guy who made Detective Pikachu is like one of the co-developers or something. Like this is like big time shit. You got Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Like so and with Hulu getting bigger now with like all the solar opposites, and like I'm sure they're putting more money into animation, like and with Justin Roiland on board with it, I'm sure it's going to be like mass produced animation style where you're going to get that like super clean Family Guy-ish style. Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
What about you, Nick? What have you been watching?
Well, strap in, boys, because I got something to say.
Okay.
So mine isn't this week. The tune that I'm bringing is more of a. They're two shorts, two shorts by this YouTube creator called LaLance, and we'll link to his video and all these videos that we talked about in the description below, so you can check those out. But the reason that I picked this guy is because I personally have been working on a small project and learning how to animate with my iPad, and I've been using this app called Flipaclip, free to download. You know, you could go check it on the App Store, iOS, whatever. And it's just a simple tool. You can use it with the stylus. You know, you can create just small little short animations. And this guy, this LaLance creator on YouTube, created these two shorts. Did you guys get a chance to watch them?
I did. And before you say anything, Al, I have a question for you after Nick is done telling us about this.
So basically, I saw this because I've been wanting to see what other people have been able to create with this app to see if it's kind of for me. And this guy goes off and creates this insane Dragon Ball Z level fight scene. The first episode, or the first one, part 1 is like 1:20, part 2 is 2 minutes. And I was like, holy shit, you know. So I got some big shoes to fill on these two shorts. But they were great, and for me, they were the type of thing that I needed for inspiration on how to use these. Like, this is, if you really put the time and you really put the work in, using this app this is how simple animation can be for a first timer. But what did you guys think about it?
All right. So before we dive in, I've got a lot of stuff to say about this. But before we dive in, I have a question specifically for Al.
Okay.
Al, now you watched this, right?
Yeah.
Did any of those scenes seem weirdly
Similar?
nostalgic, similar to something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hold on. I want there's two ways that this guy could have gone about it, and it could be one or the other. I really don't know.
I have a lot to say about that. Yes.
So
okay.
So either one, he copied those scenes, traced them directly, rotoscoped them directly, and made his own characters. Now that would make sense to me, considering he was using this flipaclip. It seems like the training wheels of an animation program. Am I wrong?
It's basically, yeah.
So either that, or this guy has an insanely good fundamentals in understanding of animation, and decided to use this free, simple software and not a real animation. I'm not saying that's not a real animation program. I'm just saying that I feel like there's probably way more tools that he could utilize out of another program. So you tell me. It was just my guess. I don't know.
Let me touch on this. So first of all, what he did was a feat in itself. I am not throwing any shade in it because that was fucking beautifully done.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
An amazing 2 shorts. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it right now. It's linked in the bottom. But my God, it was a very fucking awesome and well done animation. So bravo to you, La Lands. It's fucking brilliant. Now, with that being said, with what you said, Al, it's brilliant in one. If you use Flipaclip to do this, amazing. If you rotoscoped, then we need to talk about what's brilliant about this. It's brilliant because you had if those characters, if he took already made scenes and drew his own characters on top of that, he used a free program in which you don't have all access to a lot of tools to do the best type of animation in that small usable free tool, which can inspire anyone. You could you have no excuses. If you are an animator, you can now download this thing and you could do whatever you want with this app. which is inspiring and it's brilliant. And go download Flipaclip because you could do that with this. Now, 2, if he did this, if he did this all by himself, made the poses, all of that. I'm going to get a little nerdy with you guys. Have you ever heard of it's called Sakuga Animation. Sakuga Animators.
No, tell me about it.
Okay. That is what this is. So anime have regular just animators, like off the line animators, key animators who draw the key poses. They have in between animators who draw from one frame to the next and mold them together. And they have what's called Sakuga Animators. And Sakuga Animators are given a direction of this person fights this person. That's it. That's all they give as far as direction. So what a Sakuga animator has to do is be a brilliant storyteller because they have to show a fight and literally be able to tell a story and how two characters are fighting. Yes.
Fight. Yeah.
They have to be a brilliant director and a photographer, like a framer, like they have to be able to frame the shots.
They got to do the whole thing.
Yeah, they have to frame the shots. They have to know anatomy, so they know how to draw the body and draw the body in a million different poses. They need to have great timing, which means a great animation and be able to if a kick is kicked, they're going to fly off in the right spot. Foreshortening, they need to be able to draw what's closer to the screen and what's further to the screen. They are basically in the animation world, masters. That's why animations like Naruto can have like 20 episodes of bad animation and filler, but if they show one fight with a Sakuga animator, the entire
best fight that you've ever seen.
That's what the audience members is going to remember, and they can owe it to some of these people. Now, if you want to look up some Sakuga animators, and you should, because these guys are fucking brilliant. And they're all Japanese guys. They're Hiroyuka Yamashita, Goru Sesha, Masayahu Kuda, and then the big one is Norio Matsumoto. And so basically these are the top level animators. And if this guy did it without rotoscoping, he's a Sakuga animator, and I will praise
Bravo.
him.
Bravo, man. That's amazing. Honestly,
it was but I don't think he is. I don't
Hey, challenge us.
I could be wrong.
That'd be freaking cool.
In the
comments.
The comments or something, like, you're brilliant, man. Either way, I will bow down to you, because you are using a free program to make a top level animation, and it's still gold.
Why is that a bad thing, actually? Even
It's
if
not.
he did rotoscope, I think he took it, he made it into his own characters, and like you said, like, it might be like some of these scenes might be memorable, but I would guarantee the majority of people watching this wouldn't even think twice about it. Here we are, who examine the shit out of animations, and we're still just like questioning
That's our job.
it.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Well, I'll say this too: Disney itself did it, rotoscoped itself, so that the Bare Necessities video in what is it, Jungle Book?
Yeah.
That there's a dance scene where the bear is dancing. They reused that dance, and I forget what I'm forgetting which one. I could link it below, but they reused that dance and another character in another Disney movie. So
Not only that, actually, that reminded me of something. Did you know that the Chainsaw Man intro? All of those scenes are rotoscoped from
Other scenes in other
from big scenes in big movies.
Yeah.
So it's not
cool.
a bad. So it's also. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You should use all the tools available to. But I'm just saying there's a different amount of praise to give to, like, you either use this tool to the best of its ability, and I'll praise you for that, or you studied a lifetime and are a master at the medium, which I'll give you more praise for that. Like, I'm just saying it's the amount of praise we're giving. Either way, it's still great. You did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
we're not
cool.
talking down on that. Yeah,
Definitely not shitting on you. We just want to know the details. Lance, let us know if
Yeah.
you ever watched this. Hit us up in the comments and let us know that either we're full of shit or you're like, yep, you hit it on the nails, guys.
yeah.
But no, I think those were some great things to close out this last pod or start 2023 with. Definitely looking forward to Koala Man. If you haven't watched the new Pinocchio, it's very good, and it makes me want to watch all of Guillermo del Toro's stuff again. He's a master. That Cabinet of Curiosities, his storytelling and some of that stuff, helping get new creators on board and making horror shorts. One final thing, and Lance, of course, we'll link those in the description below. One final thing, going back to your question, Al, I was stewing on it a little. I would love to see, well, much like, I can't remember who's directing it, but they're doing that Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, where they're taking like a kid's cartoon and making it a horror short. I think a lot of Disney properties lend themselves to, I would want to see a horror stop motion or a horror cartoon. Like, I'm picturing Snow White.
Meatcanyon does it.
Yeah, he does a lot of those.
yeah.
Yeah. The Pinocchio one that he put out was fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
But I think something like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, but like in a horror aspect. Give me some horror elements, or like Cinderella. I think they're
J.J. Villard, too. His
that's true.
The fairy tales.
Yeah. Anyhow, guys, you got anything left to add to your future selves for 2023?
Don't stress. Give less fucks.
That's a pretty
Work
good one.
harder. Mine is work harder.
Oh my God.
Stress more,
Psycho.
work harder. Stress more, work harder. Anyhow, again, like, follow, subscribe. If you enjoyed these talks, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/wearethetelevision. We have some great shit out there for you and more coming for 2023. We're going to announce some big things. Stay tuned, and Happy New Year.
The Early Television.